Now, as we all know, Ireland has a reputation as the land of saints. It has thousands of saints. And this part of Ireland, the west, there's many, many, many saints. And one of the most famous saints, the one of great reputation, is Saint Enda. But the thing to remember about saints, whether the men or the women, was that when they were alive, they were just people, like you or me. And they had all our great sides, and they had all our failings. And Enda was like that as well. Enda was not always a saint, he was just a man. And for most of his life, he was a monk on the Aran Isles. But before he became a monk, when he was a young man, he was actually a prince. And he was a prince of a great powerful family here in the West Coast. And as a young man, he had a great reputation. He was the kind of guy who he could bring his enemies together and get them to negotiate and settle their differences. So everybody would benefit, and the trade would benefit, and everybody would make money. And he was a great man for working out his father's estate and keeping everything running just so. And it wasn't just the rich and the famous and the nobles that he talked to to everybody. He talked to even the humble folk. He would go around the great estates of his family, and he'd see the old women who were planting the wheat, and he'd talk to them. Or he'd see the young fellows who were boisterous and bringing in the cattle, and he'd share a joke with them. And everybody loved Enda. But the person who loved him more than anybody else was his fiancée, because he was about to get married. And his fiancée loved him, and she loved her, and when they walked the land, it said they glowed, and everybody gasped when they saw them. And a wedding feast was set. And a building was built for the banquet for the nobles, and it was going to be harpists and musicians from Ireland and from Scotland. It was going to be great meat, and it was a great, great feast. And for the humble folk, they'd set up tables and tents down at the crossroads, and they were going to have food and wine as well, and jugglers, and everything was going to be a wonderful, wonderful occasion. However, in the run-up to the wedding, the poor bride-to-be, she got toothache. And she was told she had her tooth taken out. But of course, she was a bride-to-be, she was a young woman, and she didn't want the tooth out because she would end up with a hole inside her mouth, and she would look so good for her wedding. So she kept the tooth. And the toothache got sorer and sorer and sorer. And eventually, she had to have the tooth removed. But by the time the tooth was removed, her jaw had got septic. And her jaw was poisoned, and the poison went into her blood, and the blood went to her brain, and she became gravely, gravely ill. And it said she was taken to her bed, and she lay there, she couldn't walk. And sometimes the pain was so great that she uttered the most horrific blasphemies. And other times the pain was so great that she went into a delirium, and she began singing the most beautiful praises and hymns. And all the while sitting beside her was Enda, holding her hand. And Enda was with her when she died. And when she died, Enda changed. Enda stood up from the side of her bed, and he roared in his grief, and he left, and he went out into the countryside. And it is said that he lived for a year and a day like an animal, roaming about the hills of the west. And you could hear him sometimes roaring out to God, asking him, "Why have they took such beauty from me? Why have they punished me like this?" And other times he would roar to God, "Why did you let me feel love like this in the first place? Why?" And this went on for a year. And slowly, Enda's grief began to end. And Enda came to understand that he could not know the way of God. That all he could know was that he needed the strength to be able to walk the path that God's love set before him. And so Brenda came back out from the wilderness. And he came back to his family's estate, and he got to his family's fort. And all his family was glad to see when he walked in, covered in dirt and rags. And they were running a bathroom, and they were going to get his finest clothes and set his room for him, and he gave him meat. And he held up his hand and said, "Stop. I have not come back to stay here. I have decided to dedicate my life to God." And that very night, he left his family home, and he set off for Scotland. And he studied in the great seminaries in Scotland, and he became a very, very powerful monk. And it was said that people could feel God and his power. But it was also said he was a man that had no sense of love in him, that there was something empty in him, and he couldn't make friends. But all the same, he was a powerful, powerful, respected man. And at that time, Christianity was competing with paganism in Scotland and in Ireland. And it was decided in the church to send Enda back to the west where he came from, to go to one of the most pagan places possible, which is where we are now. And from here over to the Aran Isles. And he was going to go to the Aran Isles and try and establish Christianity there. So Enda came down to the north of Ireland, to Antrim, and he came to Clare. And when he was in Clare, he was waiting for the ship that would take him over to the Aran Isles. And as he was waiting for the ship, a pagan came up to him. And the pagan was mocking God and blaspheming. And Enda looked at him, and he felt his anger grow. As the pagan was mocking and mocking, Enda held up his hand, and suddenly the hair on the head of the pagan began to spit and spark, and flames came out and smoke. And the pagan was looking and suddenly he could feel the fire beginning on his head. And just then, a cloud appeared. A small cloud came over, and rain came down, and it fell on the pagan's head and put the fire out. And the pagan looked at Enda, and he looked away, and he saw just a few yards away a smiling monk standing there with a big grin on his face. And he looked at the smiling monk and he said, "Did you put that fire out?" And the smiling monk said, "No, God did." And the pagan said, "Ah, is your God more powerful than his God?" And the smiling monk said, "No, we serve the same God." And the pagan scratched his head a minute and he said, "Well, it seems to me that you know your God better than that guy, so I will change. I will convert to Christianity, but only through you, not through him." And so he converted. And afterwards, Enda spoke to the smiling monk and asked him who he was, and the smiling monk said, "I am Brecon, and I am here in the west, trying to convert folk in Clare and down to Ennis." And Enda said not a word to him. After that, he just looked at him and turned round, and he went back down to the shore, and his ship was there, and he got on his ship, and he left, and he went to the Aran Isles. And when he got to the Aran Isles, he came ashore there, and there was nobody to greet him. And he started walking through the Aran Isles, and it said, eventually, the chief of the Aran Isles came down. And he was a great pagan warrior, a huge, huge man with wild hair and a wild beard, a cat, wild man. And he came down with his axe, and he had all his warriors with him. And he came down to greet Enda. And when Enda saw him, glowering and staring at him, Enda just put his hand and said, "Chief, I have one thing to say to you.